so many rigid rules that don't need to be there around nutrition. And I think that causes way more problems than even eating poorly does.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I am here with Noelle Lisette, and we've actually known each other for quite a few years, had a transformation in our worlds colliding, a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today with exciting things that you're doing. But you are incredibly influential, love helping people reach their best self. But I want you to kind of give your own description around your career, what you're doing, how are you helping people?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on, Dr. Nell. It is crazy. We have known each other for a few years, and seeing each other just evolve like this, it's been awesome. And to sum up what I do, it's probably one of the most difficult things that I try to do to my clients the clinic I work at. But essentially, I help women specifically find like their alignment and balance in life and health. And in a shorter way, it's like I empower women to take control of their life and their body. Yeah.
So your official title, though, a life clarity and wellness coach. So yeah, because that's a lot of buzzwords in there, a lot of things that are trending that people want to know more about, but that sounds incredibly individualized and customized with how you would work with someone. So
it is.
How would you work with someone?
So I chose life clarity over like, life coach, because one, my age. It's like to go around saying, I'm a life coach. I'm 22 years old.
Right.
It just doesn't resonate with most people. But because of my journey, I feel like my journey and the work that I've been doing, my clients describe what I do as like, wow, it's really clarifying. It's clarifying my situation. And I kept hearing that word over and over again. So I'm like, oh, that's what I do. That's actually what I do. I clarify in their wellness journey, which, as you know, wellness is life.
Yeah.
Everything's together. So life, clarity, wellness, it just kind of came together. And I have to re-explain every time because it's so unique, but I think it's fitting.
Just how would you typically work with someone? Do people just off the street come up to you and say, well, I've seen your fabulous Instagram. How can you bring me clarification? What are people generally looking for when they come to you? Or is that like a transformational process where you figure that out with the person who's sitting in front of you? Like, what do we most need to prioritize here? Like, how does that even work?
Right. So it's pretty interesting. I actually have gotten multiple clients from my Instagram, and I tend to attract clients or women who have gone through similar things that I've been through, who either need to lose weight, have anxiety, just feel stuck in general, and like in this confusion state. And they reach out to me knowing that something's not working. They don't know what's not working, right, but something is off. And they've seen that I've dealt with kind of a really random sack of mini traumas, and they're like, well, she got out of it. How do I get out of it?
I think that's beneficial because you're young too. It's a different part of instilling that confidence where, you could instill confidence in someone coming in your door because you have 20 years of experience,
right.
Or because you've been through a journey and are at a point where you want to then bring value to others who may be having a similar experience.
No, exactly. It's I don't think age is very important at all. It's really just what you've gone through, what you can share. And so I work with women who are literally twice my age, who have had body image issues their entire lives. And they see, like you just said, they see somebody who dealt with it really bad, got out, and all they want is a solution. I think that's what anybody wants. Whether you want to lose weight or you have gut issues, you don't really care where it comes from. It's just help me.
Well, there's a lot of things that work,
Exactly.
There's a lot of things that work, but the end result is what people are looking for, and someone they can work with that they feel a connection with and feel comfortable with and then are able to be empowered. But I think it's important to talk about your journey to where, because we've mentioned it a couple of times already, and this was something we, bonded over very much when we first met. I thought your story was incredible and impactful and spoke volumes to, how young you are to have come through this process and then said, okay, well, I want to create a platform to share and help others who might be experiencing something. So can you tell us a little bit about what got you in wanting to do what you do?
Get your journal out. No, but thank you. It's really kind that you speak about it. It's almost like talking about a different life when I do talk about it, because I have evolved so much from that. But it really started being in a very stressful environment as a child, and experiencing a lot of mini traumas, let's just say, that were never dealt with or digested well. And long story short, I ended up manifesting an eating disorder in order to cope with that. And I mean, at age like 12. And it got so bad and so dark. When you have an eating disorder, it's like your whole perception of the world changes and everything just kind of becomes about survival in a way. But then somehow it's like I got out of that. It didn't even go to like proper treatment, but I got out of that and was still dealing with anxiety, depression. And because I'm living in like the normal world, I was put on antidepressants and anti-anxieties, didn't think anything of it. Parents, of course, just wanted to help, so they supported that. And at a young age, I was just living so meh. It was just like, really? You're on anti-anxieties and you're 13? You have depression, you're 13? Like, what's going on here? Yeah. You've been in and out of inpatient for eating, what's going on? But like, I was just getting thrown like Band-Aids kind of. Anyways, deal with that. Actually start to do better in high school. But then, and I want to say randomly, but nothing's random, it was definitely compounded, I ended up getting diagnosed with a chronic gastrointestinal disorder that's usually reserved people who have diabetes, who've had diabetes for like 20 years, which in a matter of 6 months, like eliminates my ability to digest food. So you can imagine the slap in the face I felt at 16, where I'm like, I actually was struggling with an eating disorder before, and now I physically can't eat. This is not cool. And so that landed me in the position of just feeling like a victim. I think that's pretty natural, honestly. It's like you just feel like life is throwing things at you, and I felt very stuck. And I was actually told at 16 that I wasn't going to go to college because my gastro was so bad. I would have to have a tube in my stomach forever. I was like 2 months away from getting all that done when something like just snapped, and it sounds like a movie, but really something snapped inside, and I'm like, nope, this is not my life. Like, I need to figure out some way to recover, to heal, to get over this. And it was a personal decision. I don't remember like what sparked it, what it was. And I'm like, we're gonna do something. And I went maniac mode on just alternative ways of healing. And that's how I landed myself in Chinese medicine, where I found literally my godsend, who became my first like health coach and therapist and helped me with my nutrition. It was like all the things in one.
All wrapped into one.
It was all wrapped in one.
Medical practitioner.
Exactly. She didn't know what she was doing though. She was just sharing what she knew.
Right.
She was starting to connect the dots. She's like, this gastro thing, that didn't come out of nowhere. You've been stressed since you were 5. And the eating disorder, yeah, that's all part of it. Everything just started to make sense. She's like, your body got this way because of these things. If we can backtrack, go back to basics, you can heal. And she was so matter of fact about it. And meanwhile, everybody's like, you're gonna die, Noelle, you're not going to college. I chose that other side, obviously. Yeah. Went all in, and I promised myself, if I healed, if I figured out how to get myself out of this mess, I would not want to do anything else but show other people how. And I'm pretty sure I was meant to do this, because in a year, it wasn't easy, I'm just summing things up, but in a year of really healing all parts of my life, taking ownership, went back in for like an exam to check how my stomach was doing, no longer had diagnosable gastroparesis. Got off of anti-anxieties and depression medication completely, and was actually starting to feel comfortable with my body. And then at that time, it was ready for me to go to college, and I was in a new body and a new mind, and that just naturally led me to try to figure out a career where I could empower and educate and help somehow. Yeah. And I wanted to do all three, and I guess starting as a coach or being a coach as I am now was like that first step or the best thing I can do.
That's incredible. No, and I think, you know, anyone who gets into a field for the right reasons has a story like that. Might not be the same story. Like, I have a story what led me to acupuncture. Like, and it's not that, oh, I like could have chosen something else to do, but there was a real reason why you needed to come into what you're doing now. And a year is not, like, a year of healing is not a huge trade-off for years and years and years of like the breakdown that was happening within your body.
No, it's, but I like that you're bringing this up because it's like a year is a very small amount of time.
But the mindset around that, people don't have.
And that's why I do the work that I do. And when people ask, do you make meal plans? Do you just help people lose weight? It's like, I can, but no, that's not what you actually want. You want someone who's going to work with your mind and your body. Otherwise, you'll end up manifesting a different issue in a different way, like I did, without healing properly. So yeah, no.
Well, let's talk about that because you touched on it. The whole idea of like the misconceptions behind nutrition. Because I get this in my practice too. Like when people come in and, you know, I do a lot of testing for like autoimmune, like a lot of different things. And there are specific, you know, dietary things that we have to watch out for. But it should never be about like, okay, the scale and the macros and this and that. Like, there, if you're an elite athlete, if you are someone who, you know, just had a stomach, like these are very extreme measures. Totally. For the general population, and honestly, our general population is very sick. We do have a lot of chronic disease. There needs to be a certain mindset around nutrition that's a little healthier than just, well, I'm getting my proper protein and I'm not having too many carbs and like, and we hear that a lot with like the fad diets. I don't think nutrition should be about restriction. It can absolutely add to your life. Like how important, and I think you can absolutely speak on this, like especially with the history of an eating disorder, right. How important is your mindset around nutrition?
I mean, as I was hearing you talk, I was like triggered, all these like proteins, fats, like just so much, there's so many rigid rules that don't need to be there around nutrition. And I think that causes way more problems than even eating poorly does. The way I approach nutrition, it's like, I think we can make it a lot more simple than we're making it, honestly. At the end of the day, we should just be eating real food. Like real food. If it came out of the ground, if it grows, that's good for your body. And like we have research to prove that. You know, that's not just like a woo-woo, eat the plants. Like there's research backing that up, and the only, you know, long-standing research behind like things that are anti-inflammatory, prevent chronic disease are plant-based. And if we can just kind of go back to basics and say, okay, well that's the proper way of fueling a body based off your size, based off your lifestyle. We can tweak it a little bit here and there, but besides that, just eat real food. And it's really that simple, but we've made it more complicated, right?
The idea, I think that, and I say this to patients a lot and to people in general a lot, is, you know, nothing is like for everybody, but there are things that aren't for anyone. Like there is no patient, how specifically wanted to get that I'd be like, you know, a diet high in processed sugar would be great for you. Like that would
Yes.
never
No,
happen.
no.
So keeping it really simple, like the basics, as clean as possible. Like I'm a big meat eater, but when I eat meat, it's grass-fed and it's organic. And you know, that's also not possible financially for everyone, which is really challenging. But there's still choices to be made. There's still like real foods, whether it's organic or not, versus processed foods. And we can get into, you know, a whole other thing too about the availability in different areas and how certain disenfranchised groups don't have those things. But like keeping it as simple as possible, because it's very easy, I think, to get bogged down by the noise. Like the noise of nutrition. Like I heard this fad, now I have to try this. I'm not going to stick to this anymore. I'm going to do something different. If we bring it back to the mindset, like, am I thinking properly about this?
Just bring it back. No, really, it's like just bring it back to center. I think like whether or not you want to lose weight or you have a chronic illness or whatever it is, it's like your ultimate goal is just to feel good,
Right.
and be healthy.
Yeah.
And you start there. And that's, I think, why people say I'm a clarity coach, like, get real clear. We just want to get you well. We want you to feel good. Right. And be happy. All the extra details don't really matter. What food serves you, you know? And I think that's a very common sense. You can come to that off of like an intuitive answer. If you're out to dinner and you see something that's deep fried versus something that's not, you know, which one serves you? And that's kind of something I like ask my clients all the time when they're like, I'm so confused on what to eat. At a certain point in the program, it's just like, I want you to be able to decipher
Right.
what serves you, what doesn't. And it's really simple. But yeah.
No, I think, well, like you said, at a certain part of the program, because we were talking about this earlier, sometimes we get so bogged down by like the amount of education we have and the amount of studying that we've done and the amount of research we read. Like, yes, like I know these things and like I know like, you know, your omega 3 to 6 ratio should be this, but for the general population can benefit from so much more simple than that, and fixing how we relate to food and not having the mindset of like something that was pretty transformational for me was, rather than thinking, oh, my nutrition is going to somehow limit me, like, oh, I have to exclude certain things. It's like, well, what can I be incorporating to feel even better? Like, how can this expand things for me? Like, if I'm going to a new restaurant, I'm going to like try a new dish.
Right.
And using like the basics as you spoke to of like, well, what serves me? That new dish that I tried like doesn't have to be deep fried. Like it could be real foods, but it could be like a combination of veggies with seasonings that like I haven't tried before.
No, completely. It's like once you have the foundation, like you're saying, then nutrition can be used as a tool. Like I'm not a big fan of diets, but I do know that, you know, if somebody's extremely overweight and they need to lose some weight fast for their health, do keto for a little bit maybe. You know, just use it as a tool. But do we need to be so extreme forever? No. Know the basics, then tweak from there. And then it's fun to learn about superfoods and learn about how you can boost this with collagen this and matcha this. Like, that's all fun.
Yeah.
But it's going to cause so much more anxiety and stress around it unless you know. Like,
If you try to go from, like, it's like building a house without a foundation. Like, you're like, oh, I'll go build the basement later. No, like, you should probably start from the bottom and build up. And then it can be exciting to, like, pick out the different drapes and the different furniture and all. Like, we can get really fancy with all this stuff, but is the foundation there? And is your mindset right around food? Are you, like, fearing eating certain things, or are you like, okay, I want to fuel my body? If I have a heavy workout, like, yeah, I'm going to naturally eat differently than if I don't. But it's not because I'm telling myself, oh, you're going to get this reward because you worked out. No, it's like, oh, I know this is going to make my body feel better during my workout. So it's not a punishment. It's like eating a certain way. It's something to be excited about and want to learn more about. And I think what's great about working with someone who's a coach or, you know, a doctor, if you need that customized plan, then it's there for you. Right. Because it gets very confusing. Going on the internet, you see all these fad diets. How do you sift through that?
Totally. I think the internet, it's like, the internet is so incredible. We have so much information, we all know that. But information does not lead to transformation. And everybody wants to transform. Everybody wants to evolve. But unless you know what's right for you, which most people don't, it's not like you're smarter or you're not smarter, it's just there's so much information. Without knowing that, then you enter confusion territory. And you wind up feeling stuck for no reason. Or I mean, just the sheer fact you don't know what to do. And that's why, I mean, I love the work that I do, because I can clear that clutter and just set the record straight. And then what I find is, once people know the basics, they're like, oh, it was that simple? You know, and then people lose weight quite quickly, and people get happier quite quickly. And it's like, well, it's not magic. You're just going back to, you know, I think what you forgot. Right. What we've all forgotten.
Well, and I think also reminding the body of what it feels like to feel well. If you're going to do any type of like program or this, like I have a program that I will do with patients a lot of times, like general weight loss patients, maybe like underlying autoimmune stuff, or a lot of my patients will want to do it as like kind of just like a general like detox. But all it is essentially eating really clean for 6 weeks and learning about the different things that you're incorporating like as you're doing them. And we don't realize how much inflammation we walk around with. We don't, you know, it's very easy when you're chronically not feeling well to not feel the damaging effects of something that's going in your system. When you, like you said, clear the clutter, and you start noticing how you're really feeling, it makes a huge difference to say like, oh wow, like I felt really good eating this.
Right. And I know that firsthand. It's like, from someone who struggled with a chronic illness that most people live with their whole lives, when you feel sick all the time, whether that's mentally or physically, mine happen to be both, everything becomes blah. And what you're eating, you don't notice the impacts, like you're saying. And I remember, this is almost so cringe, but I always tell this story to my clients. It's like when I had terrible gastroparesis and I couldn't eat solid foods before nutrition knowledge was in place, it's like I would go to Yogurtland when I could and just get yogurt and eat yogurt for dinner. Like ice cream, because I could get that down, and it was calories, and it was just, Yogurtland is marketed as like the healthy alternative, and my body just didn't know what was going on. Right, and I'm like wondering why I'm not healing. I'm wondering why gastroparesis is still raging, and I still have anxiety and depression. My body has no fundamental building blocks at all. So I totally hear you when you're saying when your body is so inflamed, you could be giving it anything.
Yeah, and you're not going to notice the impact.
Anything. But go ahead.
No, all throughout college, I thought it was normal to feel nauseous every morning because I was eating foods that were making me so inflamed. I was having terrible brain fog. I had triggered thyroid condition. And I was like, oh, people just wake up nauseous until they eat a few carbs and then they feel better. That's normal. That's not normal.
No, it's not. But we get so used to our situation. And I feel like still, like, there's not enough empowerment in the wellness world. I think wellness has become a bit elite, where it's like, I think that wellness has become this elite thing that like you achieve wellness and go get your expensive green juice, and like that's the only way. When in reality, it's like it shouldn't be elite at all, and it shouldn't be so scary. And it starts like at the most basic level. You know, you in college just knowing that, oh, if I just eat a little bit better, then none of this has to happen. Right. It's like empowering knowledge just to know that you can start with the basics.
Yeah. I think the wellness, as I was talking to another doctor who was saying wellness is a verb.
Yep, I like that.
And you can't think of it as like, oh, this thing I have to achieve. Like,
right.
I have to check off all these things and like, then I'm well. No, like, there are periods that you will go through of healing in your life, like your year of being able to get back to a normal way of eating and relating to food and being able to do normal things like go off to college. Yes, that is like a period of like, okay, we're trying to get to a benchmark here.
No, exactly.
But you in your day-to-day life, it should never be like, oh, well, once I do all these things, then I'll achieve wellness. No, you're mindfully practicing wellness every day.
I'm still on a wellness journey.
Exactly.
I will always be on my wellness journey.
It's like our life journey.
It is. Wellness is life, always, I think. So I am actively on the journey with my clients as well. I'm like, I'm here with you. Like, I'm just a couple steps ahead, right. But we're still doing the same thing.
Experiences, and I'm just going to use those to help empower you.
Right.
Perfect.
Right.
Well, in closing, anything you'd want to leave people with, like whether it's a wellness philosophy or tips around your mindset with nutrition, like a mantra that works well for you, anything you want to leave our viewers with?
Yeah, I mean, I think what was so fundamental in all my areas of healing, the mental, the physical, was this realization that you have to be selfish. And selfish is not a bad word. Selfish is very empowering. When you just have a different perspective, I think that in order to heal from anything or get whatever you want, body, mind, whatever, you have to get serious with yourself, put yourself first. Otherwise, you always make excuses as to why you can't. Or you can't afford that, or you can't do this, you can't eat that way. No, this is your life. And if you decide that it's going to be your time, you'll heal. But I think it starts with being selfish. So yeah, it's a little bit different, but I'm an advocate for being selfish all the time.
Yeah. I like the switching of the word. It's also different than self-care.
Oh yeah.
Because again, it goes back to the mindset around everything. Like, no, I'm being selfish in this moment. I'm not just like gonna go off and do one thing that's a self-care thing. I'm gonna be selfish. I'm gonna make sure to prioritize myself, my health, my wellness journey.
Right, and like the more selfish I've become, the more people I've been able to help. Period. When I'm not being selfish, and I'm using this word in a new way. Yeah. When I'm not being selfish, I cannot show up for people the same way. I wouldn't have been able to heal, right? So, yeah, that's my wellness philosophy.
Well, Noelle, thank you so much for coming. We tell everyone where to find you on Instagram and your handles, and we'll also put that in the links below.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nell. You can find me at LA_Noelle Lisette. And yeah, that's all where I'm at right now, yeah. Instagram.
Perfect. Awesome health and wellness tips.